Okay, hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar. So for today's session, we are going to be looking at doing our pre-market analysis. So if you guys have any requests, feel free to pop them into the chat. Okay, let's just go ahead and get started. So as per usual, a disclaimer, um, a risk warning, trading Forex and CFDs carries a high level of risk to your capital, and you should only trade with money you can afford to lose. Trading Forex and CFDs may not be suitable for all investors, so please ensure that you fully understand the risk involved and seek independent advice if necessary. Please read and ensure you fully understand our risk disclosure. So here's our agenda for today. We are going to start off by looking at the FX majors, and then we'll look at commodities, cryptos, and indices, followed by any custom requests. Okay, I'm Melanie and I'll be a speaker for today. I'm an investment analyst at Rocket, who are finalist for Best FX and Equity Research in the years 2019 to 2021, specializing in technical analysis with a focus on Fibonacci retracements, extensions, and projections. Okay, now let's look at the fundamentals events first for this week. Okay. So starting off, let's look at the events for this upcoming week. So I like to use Forex Factory, but you can use whichever economic calendar you want. So clicking on today's date, you can look at this week's events, apply settings, and you can see I have it filtered to mainly look at the orange and red icons. So this represents the medium to high impact events. So if I click on this green filter here, here you can look at the low impact events and any non-economic events for the week as well, and any currencies that you are specifically looking at, and any event types as well. But I just like to leave it as it is. Apply filter, and you can see we have a lot more events to go through. So that's why we normally prefer to stream it down. Yep, and just focus on the medium to high impact events, because those are the events that will have the greatest impact on our charts as well. Okay. So for this week, on Monday, we have FOMC member Wallace speaking. On Tuesday, we have China's 1-year and 5-year loan prime rate, which are both expected to maintain the same at 3.35 and 3.85 respectively. Australia's monetary policy meeting minutes from last week will be released. Switzerland Chairman Jordan will be speaking as well. Canadian CPI data, median, trimmed, and common will be released, and they're all expected to be lower than previous, except for the CPI month-of-month data, which is forecasted to be 0.4% higher than the previous minus 0.1%. On Wednesday, we don't have any medium to high impact events. And on Thursday, we have US FOMC meeting minutes, Euros, French, German, Eurozone flash manufacturing PMI, UK's flash manufacturing PMI, UK and US, and US unemployment claims, as well as US existing home sales. Okay, and on Friday, we will have the Jackson Hole Symposium, New Zealand's retail sales, Canada's core retail sales, and US Fed Chair Powell speaking, and new home sales as well. Okay, that's all the events for this week. Now I'm gonna move on to our live analysis. So if you guys have any requests for any charts you want me to go through, feel free to just pop them into the chat. Okay. Okay. We always start off by looking at DXY. So let's go ahead and take a look at that first. Yep, and then we'll go and take a look at US 30 and US 100. Okay, so I like to start off by looking at the weekly time frame first, so we get an idea of the general direction of the trend. So on our weekly time frame, we can see prices kind of dropping recently. On our daily time frame as well, we see prices kind of moving in this downtrend. Okay, we don't really have a descending trend line there. Okay, but we have prices moving in this descending trend channel. Okay, now going in with our support and resistance levels. Okay, I'm just gonna place my pivot at the swing low. Okay, and I'm trying to pull it back as far as I can so that I can see how significant this level is. Okay, I'll place it at this swing low instead. So we have one swing low, two swing lows, and price is currently testing this level here. Okay, my first support I will place at this swing low as well. Okay, and my first resistance I'll just place at this swing low here. Okay, now that we have our horizontal levels, I'll go in with our Fibonacci levels as well. Okay, even though this 100% lines up with our first resistance, we can't use it because price has already broken out of it. So I'm gonna remove that. Okay, you can see our 161.8 Fibonacci extension lines up nicely with our pivot, and you can see price currently testing that level. So I'm going to keep that. Okay, for Fibonacci extension, we're looking at this Nike tick shape like this. Okay, this is an inverted Nike tick, but obviously an upright one would look like that. So it's inverted and it'll look like that. Okay, and for this technique, we are looking at the levels greater than 100%. So namely the 127 and the 161.8 like we have here. Okay, our 61.8 lines up with our pivot as well, and our 88% as well. Okay, so I'm going to highlight this area here because it's a confluence area, which basically means that you have two or more Fibonacci levels that line up. Okay, so these areas tend to attract price, but price might not be able to break past them. I think that's all the levels that we have for now. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at our indicators. For now, we are expecting price to continue in a downtrend. So we will go in for a sell from our pivot towards our first support. Let's take a look at some indicators and see if they support our analysis. So I like to start off by looking at Ichimoku and MACD because at one glance you can tell exactly what the signals are. So you can see price moving below the cloud, so it is giving us a bearish signal. MACD is also giving us a bearish momentum over here. Okay, so they both support our analysis. The price will continue in this downtrend, in this descending trend channel towards our first support. Okay, let me just label this. Um, okay, so that's for the XY. Now let's take a look at US 30. Okay, so same thing, I'm gonna start off by looking at our weekly time frame. You can see prices moving upwards. Daily time frame, we also see prices moving kind of in an uptrend. Here we can see prices moving in an ascending trend line as well. Let's see if they're moving in a trend channel. Okay, no. Okay, so Now I'm going in with our support and resistance levels once again. Okay, so this will be my pivot. First resistance up here, and my first support is down here. I think I'll actually be going in for another resistance further up. Okay, I'll show you what I mean. So basically, since this first resistance is the highest level of reference, right? But you can tell that price is kind of close to where our resistance level is. So what we can do is pull out our Fibonacci and place another second resistance up here. Here you can see our 78 and 100 both line up. So I'll leave it at that. And I'll also pull out our Fibonacci extension that I used earlier, the Nike tick method. You can see our 161 lines up nicely with our first resistance as well. Okay, so we are expecting price to continue upwards towards our first resistance, and if price manages to break out of that, then we're going for a second buy towards our second resistance. Okay, if we're going in, if we're going in for a buy, we'll wait for price to break out of this first resistance before going in for our second resistance, since we only have one level up here. Okay, let's see if we can find another Fibonacci level to support this second resistance. Okay, I guess this 161 also lines up. Let's check our 127. Okay, no. So it's no longer valid because price has already broken out of it. So I'll just keep our 127. Oh, I mean, just keep our 161. Okay, so let's go and take a look at our indicators now. Ichimoku and MACD again. You can see price moving above the Ichimoku cloud, so it is giving us a bullish signal. And MACD, you can see, is also giving us a bullish momentum over there. If we look at another indicator, maybe Bollinger Bands, okay, it's not really telling us much. If we look at maybe our moving averages, I like to look at EMA and SMA first. Okay, you can see price moving above both of the indicators, so they are giving us a bullish signal as well. Okay, that's US 30. We have a request for US 100 as well. Are there any other requests after that? Just feel free to pop them into the chat. Okay, so on our weekly time frame, you can see on our US 100 prices are kind of dipping here. Although prices do look like they've recently reversed. Okay, but let's look at our daily time frame. So on our daily time frame, you can see prices kind of moving upwards despite this recent dip. Okay, so I'm going in with um a retracement first, or rather an ascending trend line. See if we can spot any trends. Okay, prices are moving in this ascending trend line. Okay. So just to recap, what makes a valid trend line is if there are at least three touches on the trend line. So we have 1, 2, and 3 over here. Okay, now going in with our support and resistance levels. So where price is currently at, we have two swing lows in line with it. So I'm gonna label it as our pivot, and my first resistance up at the swing high. First support maybe at this overlap level here. Okay, so see my 61.8 lines up nicely with my pivot. Okay, my 100 also lines up. So with Fibonacci, normally your levels don't really have to line up exactly at the line because we're looking for confluence areas more so than specific levels. Okay, you can see here for projections, I am using this a lightning bolt kind of shape, something like this. Okay, so you can see this kind of shape, and we're projecting where prices are headed towards. So here you can see I'm projecting it towards our first resistance. Our 100% lines up, so I've kept that. Yeah. For projections, we use this tool, the extension tool, and we used three levels, mainly 61, 78, and 100. Okay, I think that's all the levels that we have again. So, we're expecting price to continue moving upwards towards our first resistance. Pulling out our indicators, Ichimoku MACD. Okay, price is currently moving within the cloud, so it's not really telling us much. So we'll keep this in view. Whereas MACD, you can see it's giving us a bullish signal, so it does support our analysis. If we look at maybe RSI, okay, it's not telling us much either. Here, our moving averages. You can see prices recently moved above both of the indicators. So they're both giving us bullish signals as well. You can check other indicators as well. Bollinger Band isn't telling us much. Look at stochastic. Okay, stochastic isn't telling us much as well. Okay, so far our two indicators, are giving us a bullish signal, so it does support our analysis as well. Okay, next we'll look at gold. Okay, so on our weekly time frame. Hi, good morning from Melbourne. Isn't it really early in Melbourne right now? But thank you for joining us from Melbourne. We have someone from Slovenia as well. Okay, so on our weekly time frame, we can see prices moving upwards. On our daily time frame, we can see prices recently I think it's the highest in a long time. Okay, so we don't really have any higher levels of reference. So again, I'm going to pull out our Fibonacci levels and do that same technique that we did earlier. Okay, so I'm gonna firstly see if we can find any magnetic kind of shapes, and we can see that here. So I'm projecting where price will continue moving upwards towards. And I'm using our Fibonacci retracement tool. Okay, you can see I'm using the 161.8 because price has already broken out of the 127. Okay, so I guess at 127, I'll place our pivot and I'll place our first resistance above the 161 level. Okay, going in with a projection, you can see our 61.8 lines up nicely with my first resistance. Okay, again, prices are pretty close to the first resistance, so I'll go in and add a second resistance as well. Okay, and the 61 also lines up with our first resistance, so this is a confluence area, which again tends to attract price but might not be able to push past it. Okay, 78 and 100 also line up with our pivot and first resistance. Okay, so following the general trend, we are gonna follow this uptrend and expect price to continue moving upwards. Okay, now pulling out our indicators again, can see price moving above the cloud, so it is giving us a bullish signal. MACD is also giving us a bullish signal here. Okay, let's look at other indicators. Okay, you can see on our Bollinger Band, price is pushing above the upper band of our Bollinger Band, so it is giving us a bullish signal as well. Okay, that's for gold. Next let's look at Aussie dollar. Oh, let me go back to the US 30 and 100 to save it first. Um, okay, hey, now let's go ahead and look at Aussie dollar. So on our weekly time frame, you can see prices kind of dropping. But recently we also see prices moving upwards very slightly recently. Okay, so you can see that here, and we don't really have a general trend. Prices have kind of been um fluctuating quite a bit. So let's just go ahead and get straight to our support and resistance levels. So my first resistance will be up there. First support maybe down here. And for my pivot, I'm just gonna place it here. Maybe mm, okay, maybe here in line with the other swing highs. Okay. Okay, now I'm going in with the retracements. Let's see how 78.6 lines up with our pivot. Okay, I'm going in with projection as well. Okay, my 78.6. Oh yeah, our 78.6 retracement also lines up. And our 100 is also lining up. You can see over here. Okay, even though, again, even though it doesn't really line up exactly at our level, it doesn't matter as long as it's close by, that's good enough. So I'll keep the 78 and 100. Okay, again, this is a confluence area. Okay, so prices will be attracted to it, but might not be able to push upwards. But we are expecting prices to continue upwards here. So looking at our indicators, you can see price bouncing off of the Ichimoku cloud. So we'll see if price manages to break above the cloud as well as the pivot, then we have upside confirmation that price is going to continue moving upwards towards our first resistance. I'll just place a second resistance up here for reference. Maybe up here as well. Yeah. And you can see our MACD is giving us a bullish signal as well. Okay, if you want to look at other indicators, you can see on our Bollinger Bands, price is pushing above the upper band as well, so it is giving us a bullish signal as well. Okay, that's it for Aussie dollar. Are there any other requests? Okay, yes, we can take a look at silver as well. Oh, wait. Okay, so on our weekly time frame, you can see there isn't really a significant uptrend or downtrend here. Just you can see prices kind of dropping recently. On our daily time frame, yep, kind of the same thing. No real like trend. So I'm gonna go in first with our pivot. Next, our first resistance up here. And first support down here. Okay, here you can see our 161.8 lines up nicely with our first support. Okay, again, that Nike tick shape is like this. Okay, I'm going in with a projection now. Okay, 78.6 lines up nicely with our pivot. And the 100 is okay, I'm going in with a retracement. You can see our 61.8 lines up, so I'll keep that. Let's see. Okay. Okay, these levels are a bit too far off. If you want, no, okay, no. Levels are too far. Okay, I'll do another projection from here. Okay, you can see the 78.6 lining up. Okay, so here you can see that lightning bolt shape again. Here. Okay. So here we have a confluence area that's in line with two swing lows. Okay, and excuse me, and a swing high as well. So this makes it a pretty significant level. Basically, we call it a overlap. That's when your swing highs and your swing lows line up. And we also have quite a number of Fibonacci levels lining up in this area. So we'll see if price manages to break above it. From the looks of it, it looks like price is going to be able to push up, push past it. So we're going for a buy towards our first resistance. Okay, again, I'll look at Ichimoku and MACD. Okay, Ichimoku price isn't really telling us much. It's moving below the cloud. Okay, so I'll remove this. Okay, even though, okay, I think I'll KIV this because price is kind of moving closer to the cloud now. MACD, you can see it's giving us a bullish signal. Let's look at our moving averages. Okay, you can see price recently moved above the moving averages, so it is giving us a bullish signal as well. Bollinger Bands look like they are moving towards our upper band, so I'll KIV this as well. Okay, let's see if we have any others we can use. Okay, I guess here on our RSI, we do have what we call a divergence, a hidden divergence. Okay, so between these levels, you can see prices making a from here to here, it's making a higher low, whereas on our stochastic, it's just moving in this support level. You can see prices bouncing off of it. So yeah. Okay, so that is giving us a bit of a bullish signal as well. Okay, that's silver. Are there any other requests from you guys? Okay, if there's no other requests, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you guys found this session helpful, and I'll see you guys again next week. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your week. Bye. Thanks, everyone. See you guys.